What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Dean back on the show. Good to have you, Dean.
Yes, thank you, Alex. It's good to be back again.
Yeah, we missed last week, so we're going to go through week 5 and week 6 of the college football season, get caught up, and then talk about the upcoming week 7. A
All
lot
right.
of action, a lot of action to talk about in those 2 weeks. So, Week 5, Friday night, we saw undefeated Louisville at NC State. NC State got out to a 10-0 lead, but then Louisville rallied to win in Raleigh 13-10, Raleigh, North Carolina. Brennan Armstrong with 3 turnovers. Um, you got to see Louisville up close in week 6. What did you think of Louisville going into that game? They're undefeated. Are you taking Louisville seriously at this point?
Well, I am now.
Yeah.
I mean, they did beat a pretty good NC State team,
Yeah,
but that really wasn't impressive.
yeah,
And I really didn't think that they were going to be that good the next game, but they
yeah,
proved me wrong.
yeah, and they've got a pretty good home field, and they were undefeated and kind of being disrespected a little bit, only being ranked 25, and I think that win in week 6 is really going to catapult them forward. But
Yeah.
um, impressive that they're to beat the teams on the schedule and stay undefeated through week 5 to get to 4-0. Um, And then we had Utah number
Well, I
10.
think really,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really think that Louisville, they have a shot of running the whole schedule.
Yeah.
They the only ones they got some challenges, but they got to play Duke, uh, Miami, Florida, and Kentucky.
Okay.
But I now think they can win those ball games.
Yeah.
So
They
I think they now could.
they've really opened a lot of eyes. They're playing some good football, and a good defense and a good quarterback, that Jack Plummer, getting it done, and a good running game as well. So they're going to be a team to keep our eyes on for sure.
Yes, right.
Um, on that Friday night, also we had undefeated number 10 Utah at number 19 Oregon State. And Oregon State jumped out to a 21-0 lead and won 21-7 in Corvallis. Utah defensively and overall have been playing some great football, but I think it's more obvious now than ever they need Cam Rising back as soon as possible if they're going to be the team they want to be, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes. Yeah, yeah.
I
If
mean,
he's back in the lineup, then you got to give him a shot.
yeah.
I agree. If he's not, then I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, they just, they're playing the freshman. I think it's Nate Johnson, and then the Bryson kid, and it's just not enough. Great defense, but not enough offensively.
Yeah.
Um, and then BYU gets a win over Cincinnati 35-27. BYU sneakily pretty good this year.
Yeah. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, I like it. I always kind of root for BYU. I remember going back to when Taysom Hill was their quarterback. So,
Yeah, they had a run of really great quarterbacks over the years.
hmm um, So then let's go to that Saturday. Your Auburn Tigers at home against number 1 Georgia. And this was the ultimate test for Auburn to play, what is widely considered the best team in college football. And Auburn has snuck up and beat Georgia in the past, but maybe not quite a team this good. And it was crazy how Auburn had a 10-0 lead, a 17-10 lead. Georgia finally got it going and won 27-20. But you had to be happy with how Auburn looked against such a good Georgia team.
Yeah, that was very encouraging as far as he goes for Auburn fans.
Hmm.
Um, you just knew though that Georgia was going to get the job done. I
Yeah.
really expected them anyway, but that was a pretty impressive battle.
Yeah, I was rooting like crazy for Auburn. I love upsets. I'd love to see Georgia go down and get beat. But that Carson Beck, their quarterback, has actually kind of opened some eyes. He's playing some pretty good football of late.
He's been throwing the ball very accurately. Of
Yeah.
course, he's got a pretty good target.
Yeah, Brock Bowers.
Yeah, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um some people were talking about number 2 Michigan at Nebraska as Nebraska could give them a game. I didn't think so at all, and Michigan blew them out 45-7. Michigan is looking great. They're looking like a championship contender. Nebraska, do you think Matt Rule has any regrets or questions about like Nebraska in my mind now has become such a project, such a tough situation for a head coach to go and turn that around. So many coaches have gone over there and failed to do so, you know?
yeah. It's kind of hard to figure out what their problem is,
Yeah,
but they're in a funk and they just don't know how to get out of it.
yeah.
But
I don't
I
know.
think they got the right guy.
Yeah, he's won before, but I thought Scott Frost, of all people, I was expecting Scott Frost to turn him around, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah,
So,
you know, sometimes it just takes the right chemistry. Um, and I don't really know if that's what they've got yet, but you got to give them a chance to turn the thing around.
and they haven't really. Do you think moving to the Big Ten is problematic for Nebraska as well?
Oh
Or
man, I don't know that it really makes much difference really.
yeah, yeah, just gotta be more competitive.
Yeah,
Um, I was looking forward to undefeated number 24 Kansas at undefeated number 3 Texas. Thought it might be a good game, a good battle. It was 20-14 in the third quarter, but then Texas pulls away and wins easily 40-14. A pretty good statement win for Texas to take down Kansas. Uh, were you impressed with that win, or Kansas coming back down to earth? You
well, I
hear me,
think it's
Dean?
kind of a combination. I mean, we were kind of raising eyebrows about. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you're good.
You hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought that, we kind of had our eyebrows raised with Kansas,
Mm-hmm.
not really wondering if they were really for real. And I think they're good, but I think that kind of proved its point.
Yeah, and a statement win, a good job to, win
Yeah,
that by a decent amount and set up what we were all looking forward to is the Red River rivalry game. That's one of my favorite games every year.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Um, Penn State easily disposes of Northwestern in Evanston, 41-13. Penn State looking legit. They're going to be a fun team to keep an eye on all year.
Yeah, you got to keep your eyes on them for sure. They're going to contend. The
Hmm.
other two boys better be playing their best game.
Yeah. Yeah. You play in the whiteout in Penn State, you're going to be in for a game for sure. Um, Number 7 Washington takes care of Arizona, but actually a better game than a lot of people thought. A fumble in the red zone keeps the game closer. Washington beats Arizona 31-24. Um, Tough game in Tucson for Washington.
Yeah, you didn't expect that for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that.
Arizona sneakily has been playing some better football. They had a good a tough game in week 6 as well. So maybe they're
Yeah,
better than people think.
I, I don't know. It's confusing, I mean, I don't get it. How you can be so awful and then suddenly have a couple of good games.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Week to week, you see that in the NFL. It's a week to week league. Maybe you're seeing some of that in college football. Whoever shows up, sometimes it's hard to predict.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's like when you're supposed to go in and just mop someone up
Hmm.
and you don't have your head on straight and realize that this is another 11 guys that you're going to have to deal with,
Yeah,
and you don't take them serious, and you can't always just turn on the faucet.
yeah.
I mean, you got to take every game seriously.
And you've talked about that before, how you believe that the transfer portal and all that is evening out the competition level. And we're going to, I think, see that more and more going forward. So we'll see on that. Um, USC at Colorado, a great game
Yeah.
here. USC jumps out to a 34-7 first half lead, but Colorado rallies, comes back, makes it interesting at the end, 48-41. Um, were you surprised by how Colorado was able to get back into this game and make it interesting down the stretch?
Not really. I mean, I felt that Colorado had always had the firepower to get back into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Things just had to work well for them, but they have the offense.
Yeah,
So I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised they scored more points,
and the Buffs needed
especially
to.
against the defense.
Yeah, and USC's defense is still a problem.
Yeah,
So, and one thing that I was noticing on that final drive, they're down 2 scores. Colorado needed to be a lot more aggressive, in my opinion. They ran the ball 2 times in a row, and with no timeouts left, they pretty much, by the time they scored, they needed the onside kick. I think they needed to score a lot quicker and be a lot more aggressive on that final drive, don't you think?
yeah, I think they could have too, but I don't know. I think they proved their point just by coming back and making a game out of it.
Yeah, and it was great to see the duo or the duel of Caleb Williams throwing 6 touchdowns and Shador Sanders combining for 5 touchdowns. That was a lot of fun to watch those two going back and forth.
Yeah, it sure was.
So, um, Oregon blows out Stanford. Nice win there. Let's go to Notre Dame at Duke, which was a really fun game to watch. Notre Dame takes a 13-0 lead into the third quarter, but Duke rallies. They take a 14-13 lead, and then Notre Dame comes through in the clutch to win that one 21-14. How about Sam Hartman picking up that 4th and 16 with 51 seconds left? Incredible play by Sam Hartman.
Yeah, and critical. I mean,
Yeah.
the game was right there.
Yep.
But
You
he pulled it off. I mean, that's what you want from your quarterback.
Were you having a lot of fun watching that game? I mean, kind of stressful, but a big win on the road against an undefeated team.
Yeah, again, we didn't really know. We still don't know what Duke is.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was. I guess it was kind of a wondering as the game went on. Uh, I don't think we expected Notre Dame to have that much of a struggle with them.
Yeah.
But they played them head up, and I don't know. It was a tough game, and like it was nervous for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you get down to a 4th and 16 and, you have to have it, that's going to be really stressful. But a great play by Sam Hartman again, and then Audric Estime breaks free for the
Yeah.
go-ahead touchdown. Um, and then the defense seals the deal with a strip sack on Riley Leonard to win the game. I thought it was cool for Sam Hartman to go and check on Riley Leonard after the game, after the high ankle sprain. Showed showed some class with that move. How about tight end Mitchell Evans with that one-handed grab? Did you see that in the game?
Yeah, these athletes are just outstanding.
Yeah.
I'm amazed every time I see these guys and their abilities, and then think that they're just young men. I mean, but I don't know if you ever watched to see any high school games, but I'm
Uh-huh.
telling you, there's a lot of great athletes in high school
Yeah.
that do this sort of thing. So I don't know why we're surprised that the college kids aren't doing this.
Yeah. The skill level is just getting better and better, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Um, Alabama beats Mississippi State 40-17. Good game from Jalen Milrow again. That was the right decision going to Jalen Milrow. But do you think that I don't know. I don't know what to think of the Alabama this year. They're getting it done. They're staying in the thick of things. But do you feel like they're limited this year more so than past years?
Yeah, Alex, I really do. They're not the Bama of old.
Yeah,
They're still good. They have talent.
yeah. And we'll see if Jalen Milrow continues to get better and carry the team as far as he can take them. But yeah, defensively, I don't know if they're the same, and they don't have the same playmakers. So it's definitely interesting. Um, how about LSU against Ole Miss? A shootout in Oxford, 55-49. Ole Miss. Uh, a great game to watch. It felt like we were watching a basketball game out there.
Yeah. Um, I expected a lot of points out of Ole Miss.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and LSU surprised me with such poor defense.
yeah.
But they matched them almost, score for score.
And
It was an interesting game, but weird to me. I'm not really surprised that LSU lost.
yeah, yeah, and it doesn't help when you get down to the final play and LSU gets called for back-to-back false starts. Makes it that much harder.
Yeah,
So,
discipline, huh?
yeah, absolutely. Oklahoma wins easily over Iowa State, 50-20, which set up the Red River rivalry game of undefeated Oklahoma against undefeated Texas. You had to be excited for that game this past Saturday. You hear me, Dean? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
See, it seems to be cutting out a little bit.
yeah,
I don't
it
know.
is.
Yeah, I don't know why. Can you understand me though?
Yeah, most of the time, you're getting interrupted a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why it is. I should be
Yeah, I
having.
mean, yeah, but both teams they didn't look ahead. They were playing their games and not thinking about the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. So then South Carolina, Tennessee gets the win over South Carolina, 41-20. Good win for Tennessee there. Um, Florida at Kentucky. This was a good game. Kentucky jumps out to a 23-0 lead and then wins comfortably 33-14. So did you expect more out of Kentucky going up against number one Georgia, or did it go about as you expected that game?
I really, honestly, I was surprised that Kentucky had done as well as they have.
Yeah,
Honestly, um, I just think they're a good team. You know, you got to give them credit for what they've done. But you know, when you come to a place and you got to play a team like that, um, it really shows the difference in talent.
yeah. And what got Kentucky to that place, running back Ray Davis against Florida, 280 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. You're
Yeah,
gonna be able to do that against Florida, but not against Georgia, not nearly as much. So,
exactly. Yes.
you know, Missouri stays undefeated, beating Vanderbilt, good win there. Fresno State over Nevada. Texas A&M over Arkansas, setting up Texas A&M and Bama, which was a good game. I was rooting for the Aggies against Alabama, but didn't go the way I wanted that one to.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
um, Syracuse was undefeated, and then here comes Clemson, who had struggled, and Clemson beats them 31-14. Does that make sense to you that Clemson is better than Syracuse and beats them up like that?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
did. Yeah, it. I think it made sense.
yeah. Um,
Clemson, you got to deal with Clemson. They're not going to be a pushover for anybody. Um,
mm-hmm,
I still think they're pretty good. They're like the Alabama team.
mm-hmm.
You know, they got the talent,
Yeah,
and so you got to fight awful hard to beat those guys.
yeah. Dabo Sweeney is going to have them be competitive at least, and they have talent.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, Maryland beats Indiana 44-17, and Talia Tagovailoa 6 touchdowns, setting up an undefeated battle against Ohio State. I was really looking forward to that Maryland Ohio State game.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and we'll get to that game here in a few, but I thought they could pull off the upset potentially. Um, how about Baylor at UCF? One of the craziest games of the year so far. UCF jumps out to a 35-7 lead, but Baylor pulls off an unbelievable comeback to win 36-35. Biggest comeback in school history. How about Baylor over UCF?
I think UCF just fell asleep.
Yeah.
I think they figured it was in the bag. And when you lose your competitive edge, you know it's
hmm
hard to get it back.
Yeah.
And Baylor in the past has been pretty good, but I don't know how that happened. I really don't.
And UCF shouldn't be falling asleep. This is their first year in the Big 12. They should be
Yeah,
taking everybody seriously.
absolutely, yes. Play to the
Yeah.
end. I mean, just because you got someone buddy down, they
hmm
must not. They just must not be used to that kind of thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get used to it because the Big 12, those teams can put up points, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Um, Boise State leads 17 to nothing, but Memphis rallies to win 35-32. Good job by Memphis to come back and beat Boise State. Uh, Wyoming over New Mexico. Um, how about Michigan State at Iowa? So some bad news here for Iowa. They lose quarterback Cade McNamara for the season with a
Yeah.
torn ACL. Big loss for Iowa.
Yes. Absolutely.
And to their credit, they got the job done without him. But yeah, they're not going to be the same without him.
Yeah, they were fortunate, actually, Alex, that they were playing Michigan State.
Yeah,
Yeah, to win
And
that ball game.
yeah, and Michigan State going for it on 4th and 1 from their own 30-yard line with the lead in the middle of the third quarter. Why? That made no sense to me. The
Blows your
Spart
mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes no sense. And the Spartans were just a mistake-filled game, and the quarterback throws 3 turnovers. Michigan State not very good, and then you make stupid decisions like that on top of it, you're not going to win many games.
That's right.
So, it's frustrating being a Spartan fan right now.
Yeah, I can understand that.
um West Virginia TCU was a good game. TCU leads 21-14 at halftime, but West Virginia shuts them out in the second half, gets a big win in Fort Worth. TCU, like we expected, having a down year after losing so many guys to the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with that analysis.
Yeah,
I think that started from the very beginning with the Colorado game. It was
yep.
obvious that TCU wasn't TCU,
Mm-hmm.
and they still show it.
Yeah, absolutely. How about Air Force winning 49-10 over San Diego State? Air Force still undefeated.
I love those flyboys.
Pretty cool.
And you think about it now with Air Force,
Hmm.
being that they're undefeated, I looked at the rest of their schedule.
Yeah,
Um, they don't have any real what I would call danger games.
yeah,
They play Wyoming, Navy, Colorado State, Army, Hawaii, UNLV, and Boise.
yeah,
That could be an undefeated team.
yeah. We'll see if they can get the job done. Keep winning.
Yeah, the opportunity's there.
Yeah. Can you remember a season where Air Force went undefeated?
No,
um, yeah, and you've watched a ton of college football, so
I
uh,
don't recall ever seeing that. No.
yeah. Let's go to week 6. This last weekend, it started with Friday night. Kansas State losing to Oklahoma State. Good win for Oklahoma State. Um, Nebraska getting back to 500 with a win over Illinois. And Illinois didn't get the message. Their alum, the legend Dick Butkus, passed away this last week at the age of 80.
Yep.
Rest in peace to the legend Dick Butkus.
Awesome, awesome player. I enjoyed watching that rough and tumble guy play. Man,
Yeah.
I tell you, he was the best ever I've seen at middle linebacker.
Wow. Yeah,
I
and
mean, and there's been some good ones, but man, I still think he was the best ever.
yeah, I agree with you, and I'm sad to see him pass away. 80 years is a good long life, but I was trying so hard to get him on my podcast and didn't quite get it done. But what a legend and a hell of all time hell of a great player.
Absolutely, good guy. I mean, there's nothing anything bad about him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, let's go to Saturday. Undefeated Kentucky at undefeated Georgia. Hoping for a good game here, but Georgia destroys the Wildcats 51-13. So Georgia's played down to, Auburn and South Carolina. Do you think this was their toughest test and Georgia just blew right through them?
Yeah, well, we touched on it a little bit earlier. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not convinced that Kentucky is that good,
Yeah.
uh, actually. Um, and we know Georgia is pretty good. So
Yeah.
I I I, I thought it was going to be a better contest than that, though.
Yeah. Some people were predicting Kentucky to go in there and beat them. I wasn't one of those that could go out there and say that, but I was hoping for a better game.
Yeah, well, Georgia was only favored by 2 touchdowns. So I mean, the feeling was that that was going to be a struggle,
Yeah.
but it wasn't.
Yeah. Statement win.
Yeah.
Michigan keeps on rolling. They crush Minnesota 52-10. Michigan doing everything they're supposed to do so far. No real slip ups.
Yeah, they're impressive right now.
Yeah. Um, let's get to the Red River rivalry in Dallas, Texas. Oklahoma leads 27-17 in the third quarter. Texas rallies to take the lead 30-27 with just a minute 17 left. But credit to Dylan Gabriel, leads Oklahoma down and throws the game-winning touchdown with 15 seconds left. How impressed were you with Oklahoma getting that win?
Very much so.
Yeah,
When Texas scored late, I think that everybody in the stadium thought that that was it,
yeah,
that that was the ball game, and I even thought that that probably will be the end of that game.
yeah,
And for them to go down like they did and pull that game out was, I thought, miraculous.
yeah.
I was very impressed.
And that's going to open some people's eyes on Dylan Gabriel right there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And he outplayed Quinn Ewers as well. Quinn Ewers turns the ball over 3 times in the loss.
Well, it's like we talked before, turnovers, mistakes, bad decisions, they always come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was talking with someone today. I think that turnovers are more pivotal now than ever before with the more rules in the offense's favor, it's harder to stop offenses. So possessions are more valuable now than ever, in my opinion.
I think you're right there. Yes.
Yeah. Um, let's go undefeated Maryland at undefeated Ohio State at the shoe. 10-0 Maryland early on, but Ohio State pulls away to win comfortably 37-17, and they did it without their best running back TreVeyon Henderson. So a pretty good win for Ohio State.
Yes. That was a impressive game for them, for sure. All I can say is it was Missouri. I mean
Yeah,
Maryland. It was
yeah,
Maryland, and it's like,
yeah,
okay. I thought they played a good game, but you're not going to ever think Ohio State would lose to Maryland.
yeah. And I was hoping for more from Talia Tagovailoa, but 2 interceptions in the loss and just didn't do enough. And Ohio State just keeps on doing what they do.
You can't give a team like Ohio State turnovers.
Yeah,
I mean, you just can't give them the ball.
yeah.
You got to you
Especially,
got to you got to play air free if you're going to beat a team like that.
yeah. So
So,
excellent win for Ohio State, and we'll see if they can keep that rolling. Um, Florida State takes care of Virginia Tech 39-17. Trey Benson runs for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Florida State looking pretty good still. They're keeping it rolling.
yeah, and Virginia Tech stinks.
Yeah.
So what can I say about that game?
Yeah.
Really?
The,
Um,
yeah.
that was poor. Uh, it was talent against none.
Yep. The days
So
of Frank Beamer and Michael Vick are no longer there.
they have an awful lot of work to do to even get close to even talking about them being anything.
Yeah.
I hope they get there because I think the sport needs them.
Yeah.
But they're just not there at all.
Yep.
And Florida State's for real.
Yeah. They are. And I'm rooting for Florida State. They're one of the teams that I kind of, if I'm a Michigan State fan, but if I have a second team, it might be Florida State. So,
Well, so far so good.
yeah. How about this game? Arizona at USC. You would expect USC to take care of business here. Arizona jumps out to a 17-0 lead, and USC needs overtime, triple overtime, in fact, to beat Arizona. How about that?
We touched on Arizona a little while back,
Yeah,
uh, when they played well, and but we didn't expect this.
no,
Uh,
that's
other than, again, you go right back to their defense.
yeah,
USC is just they're in trouble.
yeah.
I don't see them winning all their games.
In a very tough conference, they're going to trip up at some point, you would think, and they're going to be banking on Caleb Williams throwing, putting up 50 points if they're going to go where they need to go.
Yeah, well, think about it. Now, right now they're 6-0, okay,
Mm-hmm.
but they got to play Notre Dame,
Yep.
Utah,
Yeah.
Washington, Oregon, UCLA.
Yeah.
How many of those games are there? 5 games there. How many of those are they going to win?
I think they're going to lose at least one.
They're going to lose at least one or two, maybe three, because the other ones have defense.
Yeah. And Notre Dame USC, I mean, that's going to be an interesting game this weekend. If Sam Hartman plays well, that's a tough game.
Absolutely, yes. I
Yeah.
mean, it's critical for USC.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, I don't think it really matters other than pride now.
Yeah.
Um, I think the door is shut for the playoffs for Notre Dame,
Well,
but
if
USC has got everything to play for.
absolutely, and if you're Notre Dame, you're upset. It's a rivalry game, and what better way to get that bad taste out of your mouth than to beat your biggest rival, USC?
Absolutely. Now they've lost two ball games. Both of them
Yeah.
they lost to were undefeated teams. So
Yep.
here's another undefeated team. So if
Yeah.
Notre Dame loses, they've lost 3 games to undefeated teams.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing to be really too ashamed about, but you expect more.
Yeah, and if you're Marcus Freeman, an easy way to bounce back and get the heat off of your shoulder, get the pressure off of you, is to beat USC,
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
So it's a big opportunity in front of them. You're at home. It's a chance. And we know USC's defense isn't great. So if Notre Dame can put up points, keep the pressure on them, who knows?
Yeah, it's pretty much a toss up in my mind. Although I think uh, isn't USC favored? No, Notre Dame is favored.
Really?
Yeah, they're favored. Let me see here by
Um,
almost 3 points.
yeah,
How about that?
that's pretty crazy.
Isn't
I'm
that weird?
yeah. I'm looking forward to it though. I'm gonna go out, South Bend. I know there's a lot of people, a lot of friends coming for that game, so it's gonna be fun regardless. The atmosphere in South Bend is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it usually is. Yeah, it's always great there.
Yeah. Um, let's talk about Notre Dame at Louisville. I said this going into this game. Louisville's undefeated. They've been playing pretty well, and that atmosphere, a road game in Louisville, is tough. The fans are passionate. They're loud. It's a tough place to play. If you don't play your best football, you can get tripped up in Louisville. And I but I was still surprised at how well Louisville played. And really, to me, we talk about turnovers. Sam Hartman's turnovers doomed Notre Dame, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I really don't think it was so much Louisville as it was the negative side of what Notre Dame did.
yeah.
That's how I feel about it. That it shouldn't have ever been that way at all, but they looked awful.
Yeah. Do you think maybe, I mean, we talk about this a lot, looking past a team, looking ahead to USC, maybe that caught them?
Could be. I don't know. We talked about this some time back when when these teams have a big game coming up the week following.
Yeah,
It's up to the coaches to get these guys focused on the game at hand.
yeah,
So it just doesn't look like they were ready to
yeah,
me. And I dropped this on the coach completely, the
yeah,
coaches,
yeah,
for not having them ready to play for this game. This
yeah.
was a critical game for Notre Dame to win.
Hmm. It, w-
So I think they just blew it.
yeah, and credit to Louisville. They played excellent. Their running back
Yeah.
had a great game, Jack Plummer, and that defense was getting pressure. We talked about Notre Dame has a pretty solid offensive line, and they were getting a lot of pressure on Sam Hartman.
Yes, they were. That was one of the biggest problems.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
and then
now Louisville, I mean, the rest of their schedule, they got guys that you'd worry about would be Duke, maybe,
hmm
Florida, Miami, Florida, and Kentucky. They can win
yeah,
all those games.
yeah. That's the
So
thing. You talked about losing to undefeated teams. If Louisville finishes the season undefeated or one loss, that's not going to look like a bad loss.
exactly.
Um, and then I had a friend who kind of jinxed Notre Dame in this game. He said that this was an automatic W, which I said pump the brakes. And then he said that Audric Estime is the best running back in college football. Estime struggles in this game, just 29 combined yards.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Big mouth. Yeah. Some people don't know what they're talking about, huh?
exactly. You can't talk like that for a big game.
No.
but
Well, he's eating crow now.
yeah, and we'll see if again, like I said, it's a bad loss. It's Notre Dame fans are not happy, but the best way to overcome that and get feeling good again is to beat your biggest rival, beat USC. A great game coming up on Saturday night.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's go to number 11, Alabama at Texas A&M. I was rooting for the Aggies here. Texas A&M has beat Bama before, so I figured, and Bama's kind of down this year, so it's a great opportunity for Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher. And yet Alabama rallies, gets the win 26 to 20, and really made the big plays. Alabama made all the big plays to win this game, huh?
Yeah, they did. That's a tough environment to play, and I think Alabama handled it very well.
Yeah. So, we talk about Alabama being down and not being as good this year, but 5-1, winning the games they're supposed to, maybe Alabama can still be in the fight.
Yeah, their slate, they still have Tennessee, LSU, and Kentucky.
Yeah.
So, and I can see them winning those. So,
Yeah.
they could end up with just one loss on their record.
Yeah, and I would like to see Alabama Georgia in the SEC championship game. I think that'd be fun.
Yes, yeah, and might be um, it might be Georgia's nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we'll see. We'll see how the SEC figures itself out. How about Washington State was undefeated. They go into Pasadena, and UCLA ends that with a 25-17 win. UCLA kind of under the radar, a big win here.
Yeah, I was surprised that happened, but I mean, and it was a close game. Anytime it's a close game, you
Uh-huh.
know, anything can happen. When you're
Yep.
playing at home, I think, like you said, that's an advantage.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And then Syracuse was undefeated. They got beat pretty badly by Clemson. Then they go to North Carolina, and North Carolina blows them out 40-7. North Carolina and Clemson have really humbled Syracuse the last 2 weeks. They've been outscored 71-21.
Not too good, is it?
no, that's
Yeah. Well, I think Syracuse was a question mark to start with,
yeah,
don't you?
Yeah, and they
And yeah,
finally played two good teams. Yeah.
yeah.
So, um, Oregon State beats Cal 52-40. Decent game, and DJ Ugalele, 5 touchdowns, no turnovers. Oregon State looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, yeah, don't take them lightly. They're going to be one of the deciders in the Pac-12 of who wins the championship.
Yeah, I'm rooting for DJU. I felt like things didn't go the way that they needed to in Clemson, and he's getting a fresh start and playing pretty well there at Oregon State. Um, Arkansas at Ole Miss, good win for Ole Miss. They keep rolling. We'll see how far they can go. How about Georgia Tech at Miami? Um, Miami leads 20-17 with a minute 18 left, and Georgia Tech is out of timeouts. Literally, all they need to do is kneel down twice, and the game is over. Instead, Miami runs the ball and fumbles with 26 seconds left, and Georgia Tech throws a 44-yard touchdown pass to beat them. How does that happen? That's incredible.
It is. You just you scratch your head. You go, what the heck are you guys thinking?
Yeah,
I don't. I mean, obviously it wasn't the player, and there's even a question whether it was even a fumble. But
yeah,
irregardless, why
yeah,
would you do that? Why
yeah.
would you do that?
You kneel just in case, just in case. You know,
Yeah.
we've seen it in the past. Herm Edwards, picking up that fumble and going for a touchdown. We've seen crazy stuff happen in football. That's why you kneel just in case to make sure that the rare, anything doesn't happen.
The more the ball is handled, the greater the odds are that something bad can happen.
Yeah,
You
and
just hike the ball and down it.
yeah, and
I don't understand that either.
Miami fans have to be sick. I mean, what a way to lose your undefeated record.
Not only that, it was Georgia Tech,
Yeah,
and they're not playing very well.
yeah.
It's like, wow, how could you lose to a guy like that?
um, Tyler Van Dyke didn't play great. He threw 3 interceptions in the game to keep it close. But head coach Mario Cristobal, I would think, I mean, that's you have to be on the hot seat after a decision like that, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the expectations really is in Miami.
Yeah,
We've been down for so long. I mean, that was a real error on their part, no question about it.
yeah,
You got to blame the coach for that,
yeah,
more,
and
more so than the player.
yeah, absolutely. That's on the coach, and his record at Miami is only 9-8.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's understandable. Miami's got work to do, but they're getting better.
yeah,
Um, I mean, they were favored to win this game by 3 touchdowns. I mean, for them to lose the way they did was astounding.
yeah,
And they got work to do. That's all.
yeah.
But
It's
but
just
they are dangerous. They can still beat you.
yeah, and we'll see if they can turn their season around and learn from this mistake and still have a good season.
Yeah,
But if you're a fan, I can understand completely why. I mean, if I was a fan of Miami, I would be calling for the head coach to be fired. I mean, that's on the head coach. That would really make me upset.
yeah. I can understand what you're saying, but again, what they're going to claim is that wasn't a fumble.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, and it
gonna
was
they're gonna say
close.
that was a bad call,
Yeah.
and and I tend to believe that was a bad call.
Yeah,
So
it was yeah, it was very close on replay.
yeah,
So,
but that's hindsight. I mean, they did review it and still said it was legit, but I'm not sure that it was.
I feel like the refs were like, because you didn't kneel down, we're just gonna give Georgia Tech a chance.
Well, the ball
So
came out. So, I mean,
yeah,
when the ball comes out, you call it a fumble, right?
yeah,
Unless it's
yep,
very clearly down, you got no choice but to call it that way. And then if you can't find a good view of it, it stands.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So, but again, yeah, Miami learn from this mistake. If you only lose one game this year, if that's your only loss, it's still a successful season.
It is, but there's going to be such a blemish on it that they're never going to forget that game forever.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
How about LSU at undefeated Missouri? Missouri, a home game, an opportunity to stay undefeated. They jump out to a 22 to 10 lead, but LSU rallies to win 49-39 and ends Missouri's undefeated run. Tough loss for Missouri trying to, have a great year, but LSU's offense got them in the end.
Yeah. Um, I felt that was kind of a toss-up game anyway, but
Yeah,
I really thought that Missouri had a good shot at winning this game, and let it slip through their hands. You
yeah.
know,
At home, you expect to win that. You want to
yeah,
win it at least, so
yeah. But LSU pulled it out.
yeah.
LSU can score, but man, they're giving up. They're like uh, USC. They give up too many points.
Yeah, and it's
I
crazy
mean,
because LSU's defense has been so bad, and really the deciding factor in that game was a pick six by LSU.
yeah, yeah, weird, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I was rooting for Missouri, and then I flip the channel and come back, and they're down 10. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah,
So, um, how about so you talked about Wyoming and them playing Air Force. Wyoming to me is the team you don't want to play. They played undefeated Fresno State and beat them 24-19. I like this Wyoming team. I saw them beat, who was it, Texas Tech in week one.
yeah,
Air Force needs to play their best game because Wyoming might. They're kind of like the team to beat these undefeated teams. Wyoming's playing good football.
they are. They certainly are. And the list that I gave you across there, that was the one that would be the concern
Yeah.
for Air Force.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I mean that could be a very good ball game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. That's coming up this Saturday, week 7. So I'm looking forward to that game. Might actually watch an Air Force game. That might be a game to watch this weekend.
Yeah, how about that?
Rutgers loses in Madison to Wisconsin. Rutgers had started 4-1, but a good win for Wisconsin at home. Um, Badgers, we had Badgers were kind of wrote off early in the year. They're still a pretty good team, though.
Yeah, yeah, they still got a shot at their division. So yeah,
Yeah. Iowa loses their quarterback, but still beats Purdue. So Iowa trying to stay alive. They improved to 5-1.
yep,
Clemson beats Wake Forest. Clemson playing some better football of late, beating the teams they're supposed to beat.
yep.
Florida beats Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt started 2-0, and we were talking about that, but I think they've lost what 5 in a row now. So
Yeah, that was kind of a flash in the pan, wasn't it?
yeah,
You remember
um,
I told you when we first talked about preseason that they were on the very bottom of the list.
yeah, and that
So
seems to be right. Yeah.
yeah,
Kansas gets back. They get a 51-22 win over UCF, and UCF is now 0-3 in Big 12 play. They're having a tough adjustment in their new conference.
yes, they are.
Yep.
Yeah, little surprising, really. I thought they would be competing right away.
Yeah. So We'll see if they can start playing better. But a good win, a blowout win for Kansas at home.
Yeah.
And then a surprisingly good game, Colorado at Arizona State. The Sun Devils 1-4 going into this game, and Colorado has to fight until the end to win 27-24. Uh, on the road is always tough, but at least they got the win, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Arizona. I figured that was kind of a toss-up game, but I really thought that overall Colorado would probably put it together.
Yeah.
They snuck it out though. They didn't score a lot of points, but
Yeah.
um, I don't know. Colorado's really a mystery team yet.
Yeah, but the one thing about Colorado is they're fun to watch every week.
Yes, absolutely are.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go to week 7. The game's coming up this weekend. Can't wait. Tomorrow night, 4-1 West Virginia at 2-3 Houston. West Virginia should be able to win that. Um, SMU at ECU. Interesting game there. The game I'm looking forward to. So Friday night, a couple good games. 4-1 Tulane at 4-1 Memphis. Give me Memphis, but that could be a good game.
Yeah, it could very well be a good game.
Yeah,
Playing at home helps.
yeah. And then Colorado at home against Stanford. This is a get right game for Colorado. They should blow this out, I would think.
I would think so too.
Yeah. Fresno State at Utah State, but Fresno State should be the better team there. Let's go to Saturday. Number 1 Georgia at Vanderbilt. I mean, I expect a blowout, but who knows? Georgia is playing down to their competition a little bit, but come on, you have to blow that one out.
Uh, there's certain expectations, I think, when you're supposed to be the best team in the nation,
Yeah.
you should show it, you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
and don't be messing around. I don't I don't see this anything but a blowout.
Yeah. I agree. Indiana at number 2 Michigan. I expect Michigan to take care of business in Ann Arbor, stay undefeated. Um, Ohio State at Purdue. Purdue has snuck up and beat Ohio State before, but I think Ohio State takes care of business. Do you agree?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Syracuse has gotten blown out the last 2 games, and it doesn't get any easier as they go to Doak Campbell to take on number 4 undefeated Florida State. Give me the Seminoles to take care of business there.
Yep.
Arkansas at Alabama. Give me Alabama. Um, Michigan State at Rutgers. I mean, Michigan State's so bad. The Rutgers are have been playing pretty good. Give me Rutgers to get to 5-2 at home.
What? What? Wow, really?
Yeah, Michigan State's terrible.
You're throwing in the towel, man.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a believer in the quarterback. Noah Kim's not my guy. He's the one thing you have to do at Michigan State as quarterback is protect the football. If you turn the ball over, you're asking for trouble. And
Yeah.
and then with the coaching situation over there, I don't. Harlan Barnett is not a head coach in my opinion. So, and Rutgers is playing good football. We talked about Greg Schiano before.
Yes, absolutely.
Utah is hoping to get Cam Rising back. They're at home against Cal. I think they should win that game regardless.
Yes. That
Um,
could be a tough game though.
yeah, yeah. If Cam Rising doesn't play, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Penn State should easily win against UMass. That should be a blowout at home. How about undefeated number 8 Oregon at undefeated number 9 Washington? How do you see that game going in Seattle.
Well, obviously that is the game of the week of the weekend.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, Man, what a contest that ought to be.
Hmm.
I think there's a opportunity there for either team to take command.
Yeah.
And I think Washington is favored, being that they're home.
Yep.
But I I I just like Oregon.
Yeah. I only because they're home. I think, at home, maybe Washington, then they're very evenly matched. I think they're both very talented.
Yeah,
So I think give me Washington, but Washington has to prove that they can beat a team like Oregon, and they should at home. They have no excuse. If they want to contend and win a conference, they need to win this game.
absolutely, absolutely.
Texas A&M at Tennessee, good opportunity for Tennessee to keep, playing good football. So if they can win at home, that's a good opportunity for them. Um, Kansas at Oklahoma State. I don't know what to do with that game. Give me Oklahoma State at home over Kansas, I think.
Yeah, I think Kansas is favored, but yeah, the home team I think has an advantage in this one.
Yeah. Illinois at Maryland. Good bounce back game for Maryland at home. Florida, South Carolina. Toss up game there. BYU at TCU. This is an interesting game. I'm rooting for BYU here to get a big win on the road. Do you think they can?
Oh man, I do, only because TCU isn't TCU
Yeah.
and BYU is playing decent. So um, I think it'd be a good game though.
Yeah, I do too. And I think if BYU can pull it off, it's a good win, you
Oh,
know?
absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Um, Here's a good Big Ten game. 5-1 Iowa at 4-1 Wisconsin. Give me the Badgers at home, especially without Iowa's quarterback.
I agree.
Yep. Louisville at Pittsburgh. Give me Louisville to stay undefeated. Um, Arizona at Washington State. Interesting game here. Arizona's playing good football, but Washington State should win at home.
Right.
How how are you feeling about Auburn at LSU? Interesting game here.
Uh, uh, Only because they're playing in Death Valley do I give LSU the nod.
Yeah.
If they were playing in Auburn,
Hmm.
I would say Auburn has a shot at it,
Yeah.
but I don't I don't know. I'd really like to see Auburn pull that game out, but I don't know if they can score enough.
Yeah. Right. It's gonna be LSU is hard to keep off the scoreboard.
Yeah,
And home field matters a lot. And Death
yeah,
Valley is always tough to play. The NFL scout in me says Malik Neighbors, the LSU wide receiver, he's a stud, and he's going to be a stud at the next level too. I think he's going to be a great pro.
yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Um, then we already talked about this game, Wyoming at Air Force. I actually want to watch this game. I think this is going to be good.
Absolutely should be. Yes, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah.
They both
Um,
have an awful lot to play for.
yeah. Two good teams, two good records. You
Yeah,
know, looking forward to that one. The game we talked about. I mean, this is if not Washington, Oregon. This is the game of the weekend right here. Fox Big Noon is going to be at this game. Undefeated USC at Notre Dame in South Bend. Sam Hartman against Caleb Williams, two of the best quarterbacks in the country. Throw the records out. This is going to be a great game.
the rivalry is just awesome. I
Yeah.
don't know that there's a greater one than this.
Yep.
Um, and anything and everything has happened in this rivalry.
Yeah.
USC, they're hungry to get in there and dominate Notre Dame and prove that they're as good as they think they are.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame has every reason to think that they can beat them.
Yeah. And
So
I
I mean,
yeah, I think that Notre Dame is going to be upset and mad and feel like they didn't play their best game against Louisville. Especially Sam Hartman is going to beat himself up all week for the 5 turnovers. And I think you see the best performance from Sam Hartman against a weak defense. So I think Notre Dame's going to give USC everything they got. I think Estime wants to have a big bounce back game as well. I think Notre Dame's going to put up a lot of points. I think this is going to be a shootout in South Bend.
I don't know if it's going to be a shootout. I'd really think that this could very easily be lopsided.
Yeah,
Seriously, I'm not so sure USC is going to score uh, like they have in the past.
yeah,
And it might be a lot closer game. Um, I don't know. I think I think Notre Dame has the edge here,
yeah,
but and they're playing at home, but they've lost so many big games at home.
yeah.
So I don't know if it's an advantage to be home for Notre Dame.
Well,
But I
I
think
yeah. Go ahead.
I just think it's going to be an interesting game, and you know we can speculate on what's going to happen. I'm just looking forward to the contest just to see what both of them have.
Yeah, I think this is a great test for Caleb Williams. He's the consensus #1 overall pick going into the NFL,
Yeah,
reigning Heisman winner, and it's a tough test. And Notre Dame's defense, Notre Dame is always has a lot of pros. You know, they have elite players, and so Caleb Williams, you're going to get the best test for Caleb Williams in this game against Notre Dame's defense. And I do believe Caleb Williams is special. And so, can he elevate his game up against a true test and play his best football on prime time with the country watching? This is a true test for Caleb Williams to show everyone that I'm the #1 overall pick. I'm the franchise quarterback in the NFL that everyone thinks I am. If you play poorly in this game, a lot of questions are going to come up. So, and then with Sam Hartman with a chip on his shoulder and upset the way he played last week, I just think this is going to be a great game and two elite quarterbacks battling it out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
yeah. I think it's going to come down to which team can put the most pressure on the opposing quarterback.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I'm really interested to see how Caleb Williams handles it. Uh, you know, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to be in South Bend and see what happens.
Yeah, this should have been the marquee game of this week.
Yeah,
Except for the stumbles of Notre Dame, it would be.
yeah. But don't you think that the stumble could potentially help Notre Dame? You know?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, like get their mind right, like and they were going to be pumped up for this game regardless, but now it's like, man, there's desperation I feel like more so with Notre Dame than with USC.
Well, yeah, and USC may not think that Notre Dame is really that good if they've lost two
Yeah,
ball games.
yeah.
So
So,
there's a lot of mystery to this one.
yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um let's go Miami at North Carolina. Miami was such a bad loss to Georgia Tech, and it doesn't get any easier as they got to go to North Carolina. I don't see this going well. I see North Carolina winning at home.
They should. but I
Yeah.
am just not convinced that Miami can't beat them.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have won last week easily
Yeah.
and didn't. So they're going to have the same kind of attitude, maybe, as we're better than this.
Yeah.
Let's go prove it. Let's go prove it.
Yeah. And I
So
don't think,
it might be interesting.
yeah, I don't think North Carolina is necessarily elite either. So they could
Right.
easily slip up at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an interesting matchup in the SEC. 5-1 Missouri at 5-1 Kentucky. How you feel about that one?
I agree. It's a toss up.
Yeah.
Uh, man, I don't know. After what happened to Kentucky, is almost like uh, I, you'd think Missouri would be able to put them away.
Yeah. At
You know,
Kentucky, come on, Wildcats, bounce back.
yeah. I mean, it is in Kentucky, and they are favored. But I
Yeah.
mean, this is another good contest. You got to watch.
Yep. And then at number 18, UCLA at number 15, Oregon State. Another really good matchup, another toss up.
Absolutely is.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of leaning toward Oregon State though.
Yeah. At home. And that, man, it just goes to show how talented the Pac 12 is this year, right?
Yeah, they're going to be pounding on each other until nobody's undefeated.
Yeah, that's true. And then the last game I've got here, NC State at Duke, I think is going to be a really good matchup. And the Blue Devils are hoping to have Riley Leonard back at quarterback after that high
Yeah.
ankle sprain. I think they're going to need him to beat NC State.
Don't take NC State lightly.
Yeah,
Um, I know that they've lost some games, but man, um, Duke better be on their game.
yeah,
This is a setup for a disappointment.
yep. So let's take a look at your numbers now. Through week 6, we got Oklahoma number 1, that win over Texas catapults them to number 1, 6-0. Uh, how do you feel about that? Oklahoma at 1 and Texas at 3 is pretty cool too.
It didn't drop them very far. The numbers didn't. They respected the loss to a pretty good team,
Yeah,
and yeah, I was surprised that they were 3,
yeah.
but I'm not going to argue with what the numbers say.
We got a close
Um,
loss to Oklahoma and then a win over Bama.
yeah,
So
so yeah, I mean, uh, but I do feel that Oklahoma's right now they're on fire.
yeah,
So we'll just see how it goes from here.
Ohio State at number 2.
Yeah,
And you know wins over Notre Dame and then that impressive win over Maryland. Catapults them up, and to do it without Travion Henderson too, uh,
yeah,
is really impressive. Kyle McCord seems to be playing better football of late, huh?
yes,
Um, Florida State at 4, I like. Michigan at 5. Louisville catapults all the way up to number 6 with that win.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll see how high they can go. Um, Washington at 7, Penn State 8, North Carolina 9, Bama 10, and here's Georgia sneaking their way up to number 11.
yeah. Georgia fans just hang in there. They're climbing up the ladder.
Yeah.
They've got a piece of cake coming up with Vandy, and
Mhm.
then they got to play Florida, and that's no problem. Um,
Yep.
I think then they got Missouri, uh, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and then Georgia Tech. And I just don't see Georgia losing a ball game now
What's that?
until
What's that Florida Georgia rivalry? Then they used to call it something.
oh I don't recall right offhand.
You can't take that lightly. Come on, Florida. I hope Florida.
Well, it is in Florida. They're playing at the Swamp.
Yeah,
I mean, things can happen, you know.
I remember playing it on the video game, and it used to be called something. It used to be like the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
That's Ole Miss, isn't it?
Oh no, it's Florida, Georgia. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, but now they since then, so that I think that's no longer called that. Since then, it's just the Florida Georgia game now.
Yeah, well, since Florida's kind of dropped, it's kind of
Yeah,
lost its luster, but
yeah.
I don't see how Georgia will have a problem with them. But that's
No,
a couple of weeks away yet.
yeah. Um, USC at 12, a big opportunity for them against Notre Dame. Oregon at 13, they play Washington, so a chance for them to move up into the top 10.
Yeah, it will either be Washington stays up there or uh, Oregon moves up.
Yeah, yeah. Where's Washington? Washington's at 7. So
Yeah.
I like Wyoming as 14 with one loss, but they've got quality wins, so it makes sense. And an opportunity for another quality win against Air Force. Wyoming could potentially be top 10.
Yeah, it's possible. Air Force is 20, so I mean that would be a quality win.
Yeah. So the numbers are starting to, take more and more shape.
Well, I'm sure that a lot of people still go look at that and they're not going to be real happy about it. But um, we're getting close now. This from now on, from week 6 on, uh, I think it's going to make more and more sense as the teams play each other
Hmm.
and play in their conferences and knock each other off. So I mean, it's going to be a lot more interesting as it goes. But I think what we got 13 undefeated teams or something like that now.
Yeah.
Um, something like that.
8, 9,
Um,
10, 11, 12, 13. I think I see 14.
14.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's we still got every week we lose 2 or 3 of them, and
That's
those
if you
undefeated
count
teams just keep moving up.
that's if you count Liberty and James Madison.
Yeah, I mean, I know people really are probably dumbfounded at that.
But
Um,
hey,
but because they have played um, pretty much Division 1 teams,
yeah,
and these other teams have played Division 2 teams here and there,
yeah.
and that makes a difference in the numbers. You play a Division 2 team, you don't get a lot of value out of that.
Mhm.
So the games that they've won are worth more.
Well, and
So that's the only explanation there.
when we talked about Wyoming shooting into the top 10 if they win, you look at Air Force is ranked 20, and they're the lowest ranked undefeated team. It's also an opportunity for Air Force to get a quality win over Wyoming.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
But you can see the points. I mean, it's so tight
yeah, it is.
in the groups, and it wouldn't take but a point or even a half a point to move these teams around drastically.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, it's pretty tight all the way through. The first 2 guys are pretty much on top,
Hmm.
but the rest of them, the next 2 are tight together, and so I mean, it doesn't take a lot to move a team up or down.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to do it again next week and see, the movement and who wins and who lost. A lot of opportunity for quality wins this weekend. And
Yeah,
so,
I do find it interesting that the AP and the coaches, neither one of them are really giving a lot of credit to Oklahoma.
Yeah,
You know, AP has got him at 5. Coach has got him at 7.
yeah,
I mean, what the heck?
yeah, and
I don't understand that at all.
yeah. To be ranked 12 going into that game too, I felt like, and they proved it with that win that they're a quality team. If you beat Texas like that, especially in the clutch, uh,
Right.
and I would think a lot of respect needs to go to Dylan Gabriel for that final drive and for that win. Uh,
Yes.
he needs, and if he gets more respect, Oklahoma will get more respect. And I'm happy for Oklahoma for Dylan Gabriel, and I like Venables a lot too. It's nice to see him after a tough first year having some success, good success there this year.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, it is.
He's a big loss. That's part of the reason why I think Clemson's taken a bit of a step back is losing Brent Venables. Do you
Yes.
think? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, but we're right in the heart of the season. This is the best time of year, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's going so fast though. I just every it's amazing how it's just a cloud of dust, isn't it?
Yeah. But I
And it
mean, every year you get to the point Notre Dame USC is one of the best weekends in college football. It's going to be so much fun Saturday night.
it is. There's a lot of there's still it's not like the last couple of weekends that we had so many major games, but there's still a lot of good games.
Yeah, there's some sneaky good games.
Yeah,
And you know, and we talked about them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it again. Washington, Oregon, Notre Dame, USC, and then we highlighted a couple of the other ones. And we're letting people know. Keep an eye on that Wyoming Air Force game. That's going to be a lot of fun.
it is. I think it will be.
Yeah,
Maybe the pollsters will finally give if Arizona Air Force wins, maybe they'll give them a little credit. I
yeah.
mean, right now they got them way down the list.
I think
Yeah,
I think Auburn LSU is a good game as well. I think that's a sneaky good game that people should be watching.
yes, I do too. I'll be watching it.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Can't wait. I'm gonna be watching Stanford, Colorado on Friday night too. That's gonna be a fun game. I like the late kickoff. I think it's 10 p.m. kickoff.
Yeah,
See if Colorado can do what they're supposed to do and blow that one out.
that should be over early. You'd think.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see.
I need to keep pushing my Shador for Heisman narrative. So
Yeah, I mean, and Caleb, he's done great so far, but he's got plenty of tough games coming, and you know, winning is important. I think in the eyes of voters.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
so I mean, if he keeps on winning, I don't think you can stop him.
Yeah,
But but if he stumbles along the way somewhere, uh, man, it's his to lose.
Caleb Williams. Yeah, but
Yeah,
like you said, they're probably gonna slip up at some point. They got a really tough schedule. Keep an eye on. I think dark horse, based on what I saw this weekend. Keep an eye on Dylan Gabriel. I think he's gonna shoot up the polls as far as the Heisman hype.
well, I think there's a couple three guys yet that they're mentioned, but they're not highly uh, listed.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, all it seems like all you hear is Caleb.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and so I mean, he's got to falter in order for these other guys to make it.
yeah. And it we'll see how he does head to head against Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr. These
Yes,
guys, like, yeah.
yes,
So we still got a
yeah,
lot of good. Like, we're talking about how far we're into the season so far. We still have a lot of good, great matchups on deck that still need to decide a lot.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, just
So
love it.
yeah. So well, good stuff as always, Dean. Great episode. We recapped a lot, and looking forward to another week of great football. I can't wait to do it again next week.
Absolutely, looking forward to it. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Appreciate all the support, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, follow along, and have a great week. Peace out.